What's up, Packer fans? Back again. Glad to be here. I'm so excited that the Packers got their 53-man roster all finished, all set up. Now they're going through who is going to be on the practice squad. And, most of the names are names that we recognize, notable names from guys who got cut. But it's always exciting to see what players the team goes out and gets from other rosters and other, just seeing who gets cut around the league. There was a lot of notable cuts from all different teams, and I think the Bears were the ones to lead the league in signing the most cuts from other teams. So, kind of a funny stat. But the Packers basically kept a lot of guys that they did cut. Most everybody cleared the practice squad waiver wire, which is awesome because, there's a lot of guys that I liked a lot that I, even had on the team in my prediction, and other guys who I really thought played well and deserved a chance to be on a team. But, there's only so many guys that can make it. So to start out with, we knew that the Packers would only keep two quarterbacks. That would leave Danny Etling out, so I knew he'd get cut, but he played really well. 19 to 22 for like 220 yards, a touchdown, no picks, that long touchdown run. He's 6'3", went to LSU. This guy, he has potential. He's still raw and everything, but he's a guy that I like. I'm glad that he wasn't going to get picked up by another squad, but he's a guy the Packers can work with all year and see how he develops. So it'll be interesting, but I'm glad they got him back. Then Jack Heflin, another guy who I thought was going to make the team. He's back on the practice squad, which is awesome. Maybe just some more time to develop for him. But it's just really cool that the Packers were able to keep him, a guy that I really thought after that 4th-and-1 stop against the Chiefs in the preseason, I thought that kind of solidified his roster spot, but it didn't, and now he's back on the practice squad. Rico Gafford, also back on the practice squad, a guy who kind of the kick returner, cornerback, fastest guy on the team still at a 4.22 he ran. And so, he's a guy that he's raw. He needs a lot of development and everything, but he's a guy that I like with the speed and everything and his special teams ability, maybe gunner or kick return. I think we'll see him at some point if Amari Rodgers struggles on kick return duties and if, Christian Watson doesn't want to be the guy back there. I think Rico Gafford will get a chance at some point this year. Then Chris Slayton, another guy who on the D-line who I really thought could make the team. I heard LaFleur talk about how if you were going to show new guys how to do or how to play the position of a D lineman, the 3, 4, 5 technique, you would show them film on Chris Slayton. The guy does it to perfection, and they just liked what they saw, but, he just didn't do enough. They kept that 7th rounder, Jonathan Ford, who's the guy who I didn't think they would keep just because he didn't get a lot of reps and everything, but, 6'4", 330, he's a big, strong, hard to move man, and I didn't recognize this at first, but the Packers had kept most all of their draft picks under Goody. Now, last 2 years in a row, they've kept every draft pick. So I have to look back more at all of Goody's drafts and see what the percentage of, people he drafted that made the initial roster. But if I would have known that all 11 were going to be on the final roster, that would have made the prediction a lot easier. Obviously, I didn't know they'd only keep 2 running backs. That's kind of a fluke situation. But we see that they have 2 guys that I thought would be, possibly be on the roster as practice squad guys. But I'll get to those guys later. So then we have wide receiver Travis Fulgham. He's a guy who, has had success in the NFL at receiver. He has played well. He played for the Eagles, and in like a 4-week stretch back a few years ago, he had like over 30 catches and a couple hundred yards and really looked good, but that was like his only time that he ever really had success. So hopefully he can kind of come into form. But he's a guy that actually has snaps in the NFL, has played, and they just want to see what he can do. Obviously they like what he brings to the table. Otherwise they went and got him and then kept him. So they're probably just happy that he cleared the waivers after cuts, so he is now in the practice squad and they can see what he can do. So exciting to have Travis Fulgham here. And then edge rusher Ladarius Hamilton. Now this guy had the inside track early on in training camp. I kept hearing his name over and over. Seemed like he was that number 3 guy, kind of in line behind Gary and Smith. So I thought Ladarius Hamilton was going to make this team. And then he got injured. And then it took him a little bit to come back. And then, other guys kind of played decent. And it's just, he just too little too late by the end of it all. And Ladarius Hamilton is back, though, on the practice squad, which is exciting because I really liked what he brought to the table. I liked his physical tools, and I liked the fact that, he was pretty relentless as a pass rusher. Great to see him back. Then another guy, Keandre Thomas. This guy, the Packers gave a lot of looks to. They must have really liked him. They gave him a lot of looks. In the preseason games, he got a lot of attention from quarterbacks picking on him, and he held his own for the most part. He had some mental mistakes, and then some other, gave up some yards and some catches, but he did play well. He had some really nice stops and PBUs, and I just liked what I saw. So I didn't think he'd make the team, but the Packers brought him back, and he's on the practice squad, so that's super exciting. And then the running backs, like I was saying, they kept 2 of these guys. Tyler Goodson, I thought, was going to make this team. He led the Packers in rushing yards in the preseason. He also, was pretty dynamic as a pass catcher out of the backfield and just played the role of running back really well because the Packers didn't have a lot to work with. They brought in Dexter Williams, who's not on this list, and Patrick Taylor got hurt. And then they had that B.J. Baylor guy too, but they let him go. And I thought Tyler Goodson had the inside track to make the team. He did not. Undrafted rookie free agent out of Iowa, Mr. Football in Georgia a couple years ago. This guy can play, and I'm glad that he cleared waivers and is back on the Packers. I think he's going to be the guy that they bring up to be a starter, at least suit up, because the Packers aren't going to start week 1 with only 2 running backs. There's no way they're going to just do 2. They'll have 3 out there for sure. So it's either going to be Goodson or Patrick Taylor. They might go with Taylor because Patrick Taylor is the veteran. He has had snaps. He has played in an NFL game. Tyler Goodson has not. But Patrick Taylor's back as well, which is exciting because I really like Patrick Taylor. It was hard for me to hold him off of the 53, but I figured just with the injuries and with how good Goodson was playing, I thought Taylor would be the odd man out again. I pretty much knew that he would be back on the practice squad, though, because I didn't think any team would take a risk on him. He's kind of the Packers guy, kind of the Packers fit. And, he 3rd leading rusher in Memphis history in college, so this guy knows how to run the ball. I know he had some fumble issues and things of that nature, but I really like Patrick Taylor. He's a bigger physical runner and, a lot bigger than Tyler Goodson. 6'1" to 5'9", and quite a bit of weight difference as well. So I like Patrick Taylor. I do like what Tyler Goodson brings to the table. Both of them are very different skill sets. One is bigger, more of a physical runner, and the other is a lot more scat backy and more of a pass catcher. So just what the Packers need, kind of just, a replacement for Aaron Jones and Goodson, and a replacement for A.J. Dillon and Patrick Taylor if something happens to those guys. And I like where the Packers are at with those 2 on the practice squad. They might bring in somebody else. I think they have room for one more guy, but we will see where that goes. I know there's Philip Lindsay's out there. I think Sony Michel got signed today by the Chargers, but some other running backs got released. So there are running backs available, so we will see what they do. But I do like where we're at with the starters, obviously, and then whichever one of these guys is a game day player or a guy that suits up on game day, I'm comfortable with either one of them. So kind of a surprise. Practice squad kicker. I don't know when the last time the Packers had a practice squad kicker. I'm sure it was more recent than I can remember, but I just always figured Crosby, and they didn't really ever have a kicker on the practice squad. But Ramiz Ahmed, who has kicked very well, the guy out of the USFL, has the record for the 61-yard field goal in the USFL, longer than Crosby's record long, which I think is 58. So, he showed some good leg. He only missed 1 kick since he showed up in camp, and in all the games and everything, he's kicked really well. He didn't have a Burchich wide left, 30 yards farther left than it went straight kick. So I liked what I saw out of Ahmad, and I think he has a chance to, at least stick around, obviously, if he is already, but Crosby just got taken off the PUP list. He should be ready week 1, but if there's any setbacks with Crosby, at least for now, I'm comfortable with Ramiz Ahmed. I don't want him kicking in the playoffs. I want Crosby back, but week 1 through like week 10, Ramiz Ahmed is fine if we need to go with him until Crosby can be ready to go for the playoffs. But cool to see a kicker on there, and he is definitely a guy that we could rely on at some point in the season. Never know. Crosby is getting up there in age, and like I said, he's coming off an injury, so big name that we're all surprised is still on the practice squad. I am super excited to see his name. I didn't think I would. I was worried, especially because the Packers had so much depth at offensive line. They kept 10 of the guys that I originally thought they'd keep 10 of. They kept 10. They kept the rookie, like I said, all the rookies, but they kept the 7th round Rasheed Walker out of Penn State. And that's a guy that I really didn't think they'd keep. I thought they'd keep 9 offensive linemen total when I finally did my final mock 53-man. But I did not have Rasheed making it. I figured he would be a practice squad guy. But they really liked what they saw to him and, the raw potential. So they kept him on the 53. And that meant that Caleb Jones was going to be cut. And Caleb Jones is the 6'9", 370-pound offensive tackle, offensive lineman for the Packers. This guy could be the biggest Packer in Packer history, and it's just exciting because I liked what I saw to him. Dude can play for real, and so when he didn't make the squad because of the other talent on this roster, which is, a good problem to have, I thought, well, there goes Caleb Jones. Some other team's going to come scoop him up, and he's gone. But he cleared waivers. He's back on the practice squad, and that is awesome to see. I'm super excited that Caleb Jones is back as a Packer. He's a guy that, if something happens to either of our big dog offensive linemen, Bakhtiari or Jenkins, Caleb Jones could find himself, out on the field or at least suiting up as a backup. So exciting to have him back. Like I said, he's a guy that I was really rooting for and hoping the Packers could find a way to keep, and they have, so that is awesome. Then we have edge rusher Kobe Jones. Now, this guy has showed up since basically the start of training camp. He's a name that I just kept hearing over and over and over, and I was like, who is this guy? And so Kobe Jones, I thought I was going to put him on the 53. I thought, well, maybe they just do it with this guy, but I just kind of figured that Garvin did enough to keep his job, and Tipa was on the team last year. So, those two, I just didn't think the guys around them didn't do enough to have them relinquish the spot. So, as well as Kobe Jones played, it just wasn't good enough. And I didn't have him making the team, and he didn't make the team, but he is back on the practice squad, which is exciting because I think he's a guy that with some development can really become something. He's really, just shown a lot so far, and I think he's got the potential. So that's exciting. Another guy they brought back was inside linebacker Ray Wilborn. This guy can play inside, outside a little bit, but he's a guy that's been kind of around the Packers practice squad here and there for the last year or so, and obviously the Packers like what they see with him. He's raw. He's got a lot of talent, but he's just got to put it all together. So we'll see how he develops. Just another guy out there. And then lastly, they just brought him back, Jawan Winfrey, receiver, who I had making the team as the 8th receiver, which I knew was crazy and I knew was too many, but I figured they would do it just because I didn't think Winfrey would be cut because Rodgers shouted him out almost like 3 different times. So I thought he was a lock. But hopefully Rodgers and Goody talked about it, and Rodgers is happy with what they have, and they were allowed to let Winfrey go without much, pushback from Rodgers. So, bummer to see Winfrey get cut, but exciting to see him back. He didn't get picked up by any of their teams. He'll be back on the practice squad. Chances are receivers, knock on wood, go down during the season, and Jawan Winfrey suits up at least one time, 1 week for the Packers this season. I can almost guarantee it. Surprised there's not more receivers on this list, actually, just because of all the question marks with the young guys, and then just possible health issues with Watson or with Cobb as he ages, and Watkins always gets injured. So things to watch for, knock on wood. And then there's a guy they brought from a different team, Benji Franklin, which, you know, he plays defensive back. I just like the depth. You know, they got another guy, Rudy Ford. I think his name's Jonathan Ford, but he goes by another John Ford. But he goes by Rudy, and he plays safety. He's actually a 6-year player. He played for the Eagles and the Cardinals, I believe. And so, 6 foot, 200 pounds ish, plays safety, got some good range. And the fact that he's been in the league for a while, they cut Micah Abernathy, made the team, made the 53. And then when this Rudy guy came available, Rudy Ford came available, they cut Micah Abernathy from the 53 and didn't re-sign him to the practice squad yet. So he went from making the roster to being like all the way cut just in a matter of like 24 hours. So I think maybe he'll be back on the practice squad as the 16th guy. They do have one spot left. But like I said, if they signed another safety, Rudy Ford, and they brought other defensive backs in, like I said, Benji Franklin, and then like Keandre Thomas and Rico Gafford are back. So what are they going to do with the 16th spot? We will see. But still exciting that the Packers are making moves, always trying to get their team a little bit better. That was the last name. So those are the 15 guys. Like I said, there's one more spot available, and we'll see what the Packers decide to do with that. Super excited that these guys are all back. I wanted to figure out what the percentage of practice squad guys actually make it onto a game day roster. But I know last year there was a lot of guys that ended up playing either in the middle of the season or just started at least suiting up for games because of injuries or just other movement on the team. Most of these guys will probably end up on a game day roster. They might not get in a game, maybe on special teams, maybe late in the game or something of that nature. But still, to make the practice squad is almost as good as making the team nowadays. And a lot of these guys will be dependent on at some point in the season to perform for the Packers. And it's just exciting to see what kind of guys they have in this locker room. And all the talent that didn't make the team, like I said, Jack Heflin, Ladarius Hamilton, Tyler Goodson, Patrick Taylor, Caleb Jones, Kobe Jones, Juwan Winfrey. If the rookies didn't step up like they did, I think they were prepared to move forward with Winfrey because they liked what they had with him. He's been in the system for a long time. But since the rookies, Toure and Watson and Doubs especially have stepped up so much that the need for, I kind of thought they wouldn't keep Sammy Watkins because of this reason, but they didn't keep Winfrey, and Watkins looks like he is ready to be a solid player again. So hopefully the Packers can reap the benefits of a healthy Sammy Watkins. But that is the Packers 15-man practice squad, but it will be a 16-man practice squad. The initial released list of what the Green Bay Packers are doing in regards to their practice squad. I'm excited. It looks like they have a lot of talent on here and one of the best rosters from top to bottom in the NFL. I know people question mark the receiving core, but I think with a guy like Aaron Rodgers and guys who are talented, we know they're very talented at receiver, it should not be an issue. This defense looks elite. These running backs are ready to go out there and, set records for the Packers. They have their own personal goals. And it just looks like that this team is really stacked at all different levels on both sides of the ball. And I could not be more excited. We only have, it's the last day of August, so, it's officially September. And we are 11 days away from Packers kickoff, 8 days away from the NFL kickoff, and basically a week from Thursday, which is tomorrow, and it's almost midnight anyway. So it'll be here before we know it. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. Go watch the Packer predictions for this year, game by game, and I'll get into more division predictions, and we'll just talk Packers all season. Hope you guys are excited. I'm super excited. Go Pack, go. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out other videos. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out and go Packers.